So Janice, you have selected your favorite Bible verse. I'm going to have you introduce yourself here in a bit, but our scripture reading is Janice's favorite Bible verse from the book of Psalms, Psalm 118 and verse 24. And this is what it says, Psalm 118, verse 24. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. That's Janice's favorite verse. Now, it's not fair for me to ask her now why that's her favorite verse, so I'm not going to ask her, but you might ask her, of all the verses in the Bible, why is this one your favorite verse? We won't put you on the spot. Of course not. Of course not. So, anyway, thank you. We have been working on this, I don't know if we can call it a tradition quite yet, but this idea of what we have come to call story times, story Sundays. The idea of story Sundays is that somebody receives a set of questions ahead of time, and they think about those responses to those questions, and a Sunday is selected for which that person would have selected some of our hymns we sing for the day, the scripture passage for the day. And now, instead of a sermon, the storyteller tells us a little bit of what they believe God has been up to in their lives. Why do we do that? Well, we're a church that believes that God is not done acting. Amen? God is still at work in the world. And if God is at work in the world, the pastor should not be the only one who talks on and on about God's activity in the world. Somebody else ought to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing God is up to in my own life and in the community. And while we listen to that, it causes the rest of us to wonder, I wonder what God is up to in my life. What story might I tell? That's why we do this, to remind ourselves that God is at work still in the world. So, Janice, you know these questions, and you have the same copy I have. We're going to keep it in order and not get things confused. Are you a native of Topeka?
No.
You're not?
I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I grew up in Independence, Missouri. I grew up in the First Presbyterian Church in Independence, Missouri, where Harry and Bess Truman met when they were 5 years old.
Wow.
So it's a block from Harry and Bess's home, and so it's quite a legacy and tradition I have from those days. But I was always in the church, always. My parents were very faithful, and my mother was very faithful in Sunday school and teaching, and my dad sang at the choir for 40 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
My sisters and I had no choice.
No choice.
But it was a good thing. It was a good thing. So as a youth, a lot of my experiences I'll explain a little bit more later, but all of my experiences as a young person in the church has helped shape my faith. I said to somebody last week, how do I describe how my faith came about? It's always been there. But when you reflect back on your life, you can see how things shaped you.
Yeah. So you hail from Independence, Missouri. At some point, you found your way to Topeka, Kansas. Can you tell us how that came about? How did you end up in Topeka, Kansas?
Well, after Stan and I met in college, and his first job was in Florida, where our first son was born.
Now, which school was this?
Kansas State.
Kansas State. You will be forgiven. No, just kidding. Everybody's welcome at Westminster. Okay.
We appreciate that. Because we take kindly to KU people, too.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, when our first child was born, we decided to get back to Kansas to be closer to the grandparents. And so we moved back to Topeka. Stan got a job with the state of Kansas, and here our second child was born. So we have two sons. But we've been here since 1965 in Topeka. And as we shopped around for churches, I don't remember anything in particular that brought us to Westminster, but it was the friendly people in general and the fact that we felt welcome and like we had a place here. So we ended up at Westminster. Of course, it was timely because our second child was due to be baptized.
Okay.
So, of course, we had to make a decision.
Right.
And this is where we ended up, and we've been here for 60 years now. And that ages me. My second child is now almost 60 years old.
Wow. So that's how you ended up at Westminster?
That's how we got
really?
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4 says, if you could go out to lunch with someone in history, anyone but Jesus, who would it be? Given that some thought.
That was a hard decision to come up with one person, but I have always admired Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks, for her activity, said that, this is a quote from Rosa Parks, "God has always given me the strength to say what is right." And I would like to further say about Rosa Parks that her refusal to give up her bus seat on December 1 of 1955 was not just a protest against segregation. It was a direct application of the biblical principle, we must obey God rather than man. And that's from Acts 5:29. She felt that God's peace and strength in that moment, knowing that all people were valuable in his eyes and that segregation was wrong in his sight. And that is timely that I have this thought since Juneteenth just happened. But I just thought she was so brave and so willing to do what she thought was right. And she actually became the mother of the civil rights movement. She ended up getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. As a matter of fact, she was the first woman to lie in state in the U.S. Capitol. So she, with her brave stance on the bus that day, she really made a change for society. She really instrumented.
I continue to learn about Rosa Parks through my own reading, and when I had a chance to go to Alabama earlier this year, we went to what was her home church. And visited and saw the various stations and all of that. So thank you for lifting her name up today for what she did. Question number 5. If there was one story from your life that would help us understand who you are, what would it be? I know it's hard to select, but you just peeling the cover a little bit. One story that sort of helps us understand who you are.
Well, of course, it's hard to pick just one story. But I'm going to call this one story because it's going to have to do with my upbringing in the church. When I was a teenager in the greater Kansas City area, excuse me, they had a region-wide caravan that appealed to teenage kids. So teenagers from different Presbyterian churches could participate in a caravan to different places. One destination was the Deep South. Another destination was the Industrial East, which also included Appalachia. And I did go on both of those. But the third destination was the Southwest, which I did not participate in. But so my one story will have to do with some of the things that happened in the caravans I went on, and also the fact that during my teen years, they had senior conferences, or they call it senior conference. And I went to Parkville, Missouri, to Park College, to a senior conference once. And I was at age 15, the other day, I found my diary from my teenage years, which may or may not go undercover at home. But in my diary, I found a comment that I thought was helpful to reflect of where I came from. And it was a senior conference at Parkville, Missouri in June of 1955 when I was 15. The study course I wrote in my diary was My Faith and My Life. And I wrote a comment to myself, I really got a lot out of it. So that was the senior conference. But then another experience with the youth caravan. When I was in the Deep South, I found in those days, this is when I was 16 now, 1956, in those days it was still a little iffy as far as segregation, but our group of kids were housed at a junior college, and I think it was Selden Jackson, I can't remember for sure. But it was a black junior college, and that particular night we were staying overnight there. We always had Vespers and in the evening, and that particular night there were 10 black girls who invited me to their room for Vespers. And it was the most interesting phenomenon for me to be in the minority and to be so warmly welcomed and so kindly given a place with them as we studied the Word, as we had Vespers together. So that was very meaningful to me. So I think that my youth experiences in general, including the youth group at church and all that, it really helped shape me. But one of the experiences I had on the caravan trip, I remember one night at Vespers, I did have a distinct memory of being aware that I was planning to follow Jesus. And I remember that significantly. It wasn't earth-shaking, but it was just an awareness, and it shaped me ever since. So.
Wow. All right. Faith stories, faith questions. What do you think God has been up to in your life lately? We've talked about growing up, we've talked about teenage years. So closer now to your life as you live it now. What do you think God has been up to in your life lately?
Well, I think God, if I listen, I think God speaks to me through instinct or awareness. There's a term I like called spiritual instinct, and it may be divine guidance. There's different ways you can call it, but there are times when I feel like God is in the details. And one example, last December, my dear friend of 67 years, who was my soul sister and my faith partner, she was passing away. She was terminal. So I decided whether or not I should go to her bedside. She lived in Oklahoma, and it was a 3-hour drive for me. Her family was going to be there one day. She was in hospice. I wanted to go down the day the family would all be there. That was a Saturday. On the Friday before, it wasn't a good day for me to go because of the way things were at my home. Stan wasn't doing well that day, and I just felt like I couldn't leave. So I thought, if it's the next day when I'm planning to go, I can't go if things are not better. Well, lo and behold, the next day, he was much better. He sanctioned my going. I didn't mind driving 3 hours. I felt compelled to be there. And when I was there, I did get there, and the family was happy that I came. I got to see my friend a day before she passed. But I brought with me a tribute that I'd written a couple of days prior. And I had, just from the heart, had written my thoughts about her and her life and our friendship. And I shared that with the family that day. And they were so appreciative because they didn't plan a formal funeral or memorial service. So in a sense, that kind of became our family memorial service for Sarah. And what made it even more, not when I look back on that, when I felt like it was even more Christ-driven that I be there, not only was that meaningful to the family that I had come and shared my story, but she had always labeled me as their godmother. And so I thought there were so many reasons that it was important that I be there. And I made it. We shared, and I got home before I fell asleep at the wheel. So it was fine. But that was, I call that a God moment, because I felt like it was made possible by my faith, by God.
So that probably could speak to this next question here a little bit. In what sense do you think you have been in partnership with God to bring about God's good purposes?
Well, I think about praying, serving, and connecting. In the praying realm, I really have enjoyed participating and sharing and leading sometimes centering prayer. That's been very meaningful to me, and I feel like I've had an opportunity also to share some of my faith through that. In serving, I have served this church in many ways, but in particular what jumps out to me is Jump. And I helped start Jump with Ted Heim, bless his heart and rest his soul. Yes. And Summer Lunch, I helped lead that many years, but those are things I've done in the past, and but they made me feel like I was of service. I've always felt like I had an ability to connect with people. So I connect with people, especially in my neighborhood. I'm able to connect with young families and older people, and I think sometimes you bloom where you're planted. And where I'm planted, we have a great neighborhood, and I do what I can to keep the neighborhood communicating and happy and healthy.
Some people may not know this, but you are kind of an adopted grandparent for some of those kids.
Right.
I mean, this is a serious relationship thing for you. Watching the kids while other things are happening, but you all help each other in that neighborhood.
That's right.
When the storm comes through, it's really a beautiful thing.
I help them with emergencies, and they help me with yard cleanup. So we have a great relationship with our neighbors, and very supportive.
Yes. Okay. Share with us one conviction of faith, something that you know to be true in your own life. How did that conviction of faith come about? Perhaps there might be a story behind it. So a conviction of faith.
Well, some of the things I've mentioned have shaped me, but I don't know why, but that Psalm 118:24 just stands out to me. It just solidifies how I feel about our life and the fact that the Lord has made this day. To me, when you approach life with joy and thankfulness, you acknowledge that every day is created and sustained by God, regardless of the circumstances. It is so true that this is the day the Lord has made. And I think we should rejoice and be in it. Even though, and I used to tell my mother that I would like to have that read at my funeral. Oh, we can't do that, she said. I said, why not? Because to me, death is the last great adventure of life. The last great adventure of life. I like adventure, but now it has to be more age appropriate. But I just think that it seems like it just emphasizes gratitude and joy to know that verse and to say that verse. But as far as the actual conviction, all the jobs I've had in the church, people will say, well, pray out about it, think about it, let me know if you can do this or not. And oftentimes I think I have made decisions without really being convicted that it was the right thing to do. I know it was something I could do and I would do, but the one time that I was asked to do a job in the church and I actually felt convicted was when I was asked to be on the Matthew 18 council. And it was odd to me because it wasn't just the usual, yes, I'll do it, I can do that, okay, tell me when. I had debated briefly about that, and I actually felt convicted. I had been on the council for a little while. I was asked to replace somebody who went off, and that was maybe seemed like a natural segue, but it was something I just felt convicted to do. And so I haven't ever felt quite that strong a conviction before, but that was noteworthy to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For those of you who may not be aware of what Matthew 18 Council is here at Westminster Presbyterian Church, this is the council, team of people that focuses on two main things. So the first thing they focus on is your usual personnel relationships in the church, right? We have a vacancy that needs to be filled, advertising that needs to be run, interviews, job evaluations. So your general personnel relationships, that's Matthew 18. But then Matthew 18 also does something else. It also focuses on relationships, particularly when things get difficult. When we need to talk through things and something gets a little bit sticky, as sometimes it does in a church. Here at Westminster, there's a place to go. It does not have to be talked about forever around the water cooler. There's a place you can go and have it talked about and processed and see what steps. And you felt called into that. So thank you for that service. Here is one more question for you. What difference does it make in your life that you are a follower of Jesus the Christ? What difference does it make in your life that you are a follower of Jesus the Christ?
Well, I just know that the knowledge of Jesus Christ keeps me grounded, gives me hope, peace. I mean, I think of the words of peace and comfort and anchor. It's just, bottom line, what it means to me is that it matters because we have the assurance that all would be well. No matter what, we have the assurance that all would be well.
And on that note, thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for Janice. I want to say thank you, Janice, for taking the time to think about these questions and for being willing to share part of your faith story with us. Thanks again.
You're welcome.